Alright, King-Ohger is finally back, episode 43. It felt like a really long break, but King-Ohger and Kamen Rider Gotchard are finally back. So, welcome back to the weekly King-Ohger Reviews, where I do my recap, rambling, summary, review, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, King-Ohger is finally back, and it's fun to finally talk about it again. It feels like a really long break that we had from the show. So, last week's episode... I say last week, it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we left on the big cliffhanger where Raculus and Gira were able to defeat Dugdag, and Raculus was now going to get put on trial for the sins and crimes that he committed. But he wasn't a bad guy the whole time. He was doing it all for Gira, so not really a bad guy, according to that. So this episode, we kind of get a couple of things explained, like how the previous king, Cacius, Gira and Raculus's father, worked with Dugdag and how he planned his rebellion to overthrow him. We actually get to learn some interesting facts about Gira, some of those facts that some people were predicting, so that's pretty cool. But not only that, we're getting closer and closer to the end game as Dugdag is definitely the final boss of the show, because I thought he'd be back after like 2 weeks ago, because I knew that he wouldn't die. I knew that he'd be sticking around for. And in this episode, you see Dugdag split out of Minigun Moth in this episode, quite grossly, I might add. It's like really gross with the sound effects they add to it, and how he just like seeps out of his body, like he comes out like a cocoon, which, like I said, I kind of knew that like Dugdag would be back eventually, because, you know, he's the big space king, he's the big space god with all the powers. I feel like you can't go higher than this guy right now when it comes to like the villain food chain on King-Ohger. And if there was someone more powerful than him, then that would be kind of an arsehole. That'd be some Madara Kaguya bullshit that they'd be pulling, that someone more powerful would show up in like the last couple of episodes. Although Sentai does do that every now and again. But this episode, we learn about Gira and Raculus's past, and we kind of get to see what Gira's childhood was like. And one of the rewards that I guess Cacius got for serving Dugdag is that he wants the power of pure destruction. So Dugdag's like, sure thing, points his finger, and suddenly his wife is pregnant, Cacius' wife is pregnant, and then gives birth to Gira a couple of months later, but she dies after giving birth. So in this episode, we kind of learn about Gira's past, and we actually get some explanations with the rainbow Juriri, it's called. I do apologize for that butcher pronunciation. But the rainbow Jujuri, that is actually the soul of a shoe god. And if you eat the whole thing, then you kind of lose your humanity and you go insane. And that's kind of something we see with Gira in this episode. But Gira doesn't eat the whole thing. He eats enough to lose his memories. And then when Cacius gets overthrown because he's planning his rebellion, we find out that Raculus left Gira at an orphanage, and then, you know, it all went from there leading up to like the first episode. So we've got that going on. But one thing I also did like about with this flashback is you get to see other things that happened within the past. One of those things is you get to see the assassination of Boshemir, the other right-hand, left-hand person of Raculus and the King in this episode, and you get to see how they were assassinated and how they were replaced, which was something that happened when Gira was sort of like going through the side effects of eating the rainbow jujuri from all those years ago. So we've got that going on. Now, this episode, it was Raculus telling the story with everything going on, but not only that, there was also sort of like that build-up to the return of Dugdag, and there was also this side plot going on as well that we didn't focus on too much, and I thought that would be the whole premise of this week's episode with the episode preview trailer. So one of the things that we do see in this episode is Mothman, Minojin Moth, MGM, he has the ability, because, you know, all the Galactabugs have these hacks abilities, one after another, and MGM, he's got the ability to turn the adults into geezers and the kids into adults. And we do see some funny scenes in this episode, like we get to see like poorly aged Hat Guy and poorly aged Duga in this episode. It looks like they had a lot of fun with like the makeup effects and stuff that they put on those characters. That was a lot of fun, but one thing we also get to see in this episode is the kid actors for the Rangers returning in this episode. And I thought that'd be the whole premise of this episode, like the Rangers get turned into kids again, and they've got to like get back into their adult forms. But that wasn't the case here. Like we only see them in their kid forms for like a couple of seconds, and then they morph. Everyone except for Dabowski gets turned into a kid. He gets turned like 10 years like younger, because you know he's the most oldest out of all of them, since he's in his 30s and the other Rangers are in their teens. We saw that in this episode. But one thing I did like, as soon as they're turned into kids, they're starting bickering. Yanma takes off Jeremy's mask and puts it on himself. That was like a kind of a funny moment in this episode. But one neat little touch you do get to see in this episode is when the kids do morph into their Rangers forms, they actually have the suit actors being a little bit smaller in this episode. Like they don't do the Kiba Ranger thing, or Justin from Turbo, if you never saw Die Ranger. The kid doesn't get like, the kids don't get bigger, they just have like suit actors who just are like a tad bit small, like tad bit taller than their human counterparts in this episode. So we have that going on. But eventually, like I said, they're turned back into their adult form. And like I said, we also do find out the reveal that Gira has his shoe god soul inside of him because he ate it when he was a kid. And that was one thing that a lot of people predicted a while ago. So, like I said, Doug Dead gets brought back, resurrected, and then he says, I'm not done yet, I've got big things planned, and then he disappears. So, the main thing at the end of the episode is Raculus is deemed guilty by Rita, as he's put on trial, but Rita's like, actually, there was some second opinions, and we're going to postpone your execution or your penalty of death, and you're going to help us out. So, Raculus is going to help out the good guys in the next couple of episodes leading into the finale, which probably postpones his death to give him a more heroic death, I'm guessing. But I do wonder if we're actually going to kill off Raculus by the end of the show. Are they going to give him the heroic death? Are they going to keep him around because like the actor might be popular or popular amongst the fans? I'm not sure about that. We'll have to find out. But overall, this episode was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was nice to have King-Ohger back after what seemed like forever. But this episode, we get to see Raculus and Gira's father, who is kind of a dick, more of a dick than Raculus, because he wanted to use Gira as a tool and as a weapon to defeat Doug Dead. But then you had that moment that made Raculus more likable, because he says that he wants to protect his brother Gira in the end. And the episode did have a nice, sweet, and somber moment where you have Gira and Raculus like holding hands or shaking hands, and then the camera pulls back and you see the child actors and they're hugging, which is a nice little moment. So the two brothers have sort of made up. They love each other a lot. They never hated each other the whole time. They cared each other about the whole time, and it was a nice, sweet moment. So there's that. So King-Ohger, couple more episodes left to go. I do wonder where we're going to see the show go from here with only a couple of episodes left, which is crazy to think about and crazy to say. Like, King-Ohger will be done by the end of February. We're just at the start of January now, so about a month left, and then this show's over with. So, yeah, there's that. But anyway, guys, what did you think of King-Ohger episode 43? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Feel free to correct my mistakes in the comment section down below and tell me what I got wrong, but also tell me, what did you guys think of this episode? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.